Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jai Jai Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhaicharanada Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jai Jai Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakti Ki Jai. Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, CC Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So this morning we're going to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 15. Instructions for civilized human beings. We're on text 75 this morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yuyam Niloke Bhatta Bhuri Bhaga Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti Yesham Grihan Avasatiti Sakshad Gudham Param Brahma Manusha Lingam Yuyam Niloke. Wait a second, this is a different melody. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti Yesam Grihan Avasatiti Sakshad Gudham Param Brahma Manusha Lingam Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti Yesham Grihana Vasatiti Sakshad Gudham Param Brahma Manusha Lingam Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti Yesham Grihana Vasatiti Sakshad Gudham Param Brahma Manusha Lingam. Am I like to chant?
Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Yuyam Triloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Yuyam Triloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti. Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti. Yesam Grihana Vasati Saksha. Yesam Grihana Vasati Saksha. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Yuyam Triloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Yuyam Triloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti. Yesham Grihana Vasati Saksha. Yesham Grihana Vasati Saksha. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga. Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti. Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti. Yesham Grihana Vasati Sakshat. Yesham Grihana Vasati Sakshat. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam. Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam.
Lady?
Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga.
Yuyam Niloke Bhattabhuri Bhaga.
Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti.
Lokam Punana Munayo Bhiyanti.
Yesham Grihana Vasati Sakshat.
Yesham Grihana Vasati Sakshat.
Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam.
Gudam Param Brahma Manusya Lingam.
Okay. Word for word. Yuyam, all of you Pāṇḍavas, Niloke, in this material world, Bhatta, indeed, Bhuri Bhaga, extremely fortunate, Lokam, all the planets of the universe, Punanaha, who can purify. Munayaha, great saintly persons. Abhiyanti, come to visit, just like ordinary persons. Yisham, of whom? Grihan, the house of the Pāṇḍavas. Avasati, resides. Iti, thus. Sakshat, directly. Gudham, very confidential. Param, transcendental. Brahma, the Parabrahman. Krishna, Manusha Lingam, as if an ordinary human being. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My dear Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, you Pāṇḍavas are so very fortunate in this world that many, many great saints who can purify all the planets of the universe come to your house, just like ordinary visitors. Furthermore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is living confidentially with you in your house, just like your brother. Purport. Here is a statement exalting a Vaishnava. In human society, a Brahmana is the most respected person. A Brahmana is one who can understand Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, but hardly ever can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita as Param Brahma. A Brahmana may be extremely fortunate having achieved Brahma Jnana, but the Pāṇḍavas were so exalted that the Para Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was living in their house like an ordinary human being. The word Buddhi Bhagaha indicates that the Pāṇḍavas were in a still higher position than brahmacharis and brahmanas. In the following verses, Narada Muni repeatedly glorifies the position of the Pāṇḍavas. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaha Padandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanando Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Panchakapatarubhascha, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. By your good wishes, ardent prayers, I'll try to say a few things. My dear Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, you Pāṇḍavas are so very fortunate that in this world, that many, many great saints who can purify all the planets of the universe come to your house, just like ordinary visitors. Furthermore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is living confidentially with you in your home, just like your brother. So now Narada Muni is giving us his conclusion about the nature and status of the Pāṇḍavas. Because Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, at the beginning of this discussion, he referred to himself as, what's that, Grihamandadi? Grihamandadi, something, Mudadi, Grihamudadi, like a householder, fallen householder, foolish, and he was asking how can someone in such a position ever be delivered? And then the whole conversation took place about different instructions and so on. And now it's coming back around that that's just Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira's great humility, which is symptomatic of a devotee. The more neophyte we are, the more we think we're advanced, and the more advanced we are, the more neophyte we think we are. Isn't that amazing? Did you get that? The more advanced we are, the more neophyte we think we are, and the more neophyte we are, the more advanced we think we are. I remember the good old days, they used to call it the PD disease. PD disease. You know what that is? Pure devotee. Like that. Used to hit people sometimes in the get new bhaktas and they're here for a week and somehow they think they're pure devotees, you know. It's like, it's called the PD disease. You got to watch out for it. Like that. It's bad. It's really bad. So, quite interesting, isn't it? And Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, feels he's just a servant of his devotees. Right? That's his happiness. So it's just the opposite of material consciousness. We want everyone to serve us, but spiritual consciousness, we want to serve everyone else. Just like it's about glories here, sometimes you hear devotees talk about the expression, all glories. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Krishna, all glories, you know, like that. But sometimes they say, well, how about not just all, maybe a little bit for me? Why does all of it have to go to Srila Prabhupada, or all of it have to go to Krishna? Can't I get a little myself? No, all glories to Krishna. Because a devotee wouldn't... Now, it's true that glories are spread about. They are. But the devotee doesn't feel that way. And they feel that any glories I have... What's a glory? What's a glory? Do you have any glories? Sankarshan has some glories, doesn't he? What's one of his glories? What's one of his glories? He likes his joke, your jokes? I mean, no, I'm serious. What's one of Shankarshan's glories? Wonderful cook. That's a glory, okay? Very humble. So, but where do you get your humility and where do you get your ability to cook? Yes, see, that's the whole thing. Yes. All glories to some of the devotees. But it's a symptom of very advanced devotees that they're feeling that all glories to all the devotees, all glories. For myself, if I have any good quality, if I have any good qualities, if by chance, it is by the mercy of my spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. So it's their kindness, their glories that they are sharing something with me for me to engage in devotional service. So what's happening here, Prabhupada's saying, it's a statement exalting a Vaishnav, this the essential practice of the devotees are to glorify other devotees. Glorify Krishna, glorify the devotees. Prabhupada's beginning by saying how in human society the brahmanas, a brahmana is the most respected person in human society. And that's one who's genuinely on the path of self-realization and has all kinds of good qualities, right? You know that verse in this 18th chapter? Samadhamma taposokcham, you know that verse? If you don't, write it on a card and tape it to your Brahmin thread. Okay, you can study it every day. It has all good qualities. Also a leader, leading us back home, back to Godhead. For so many different reasons, the Brahmins are the most exalted persons. Real Brahmins are the most exalted personalities in human society. Those who are using that position to exploit others, they're the lowest. I was just listening to tape the other day by, is it Kadamba Kanana Swami? He was saying that Brahmanism terrorized, that's the word he used, terrorized India for over 1,000 years. That's a long time. Brahmanism, Smarta Brahmanism and so on, terrorized India for over 1,000 years. This horrible caste system, and if you got touched by the shadow of a Sudra, you'd have to go take a bath and scream and yell, "Don't walk by my house." Just horrible exploitation. So is that Brahmanism? Well, that's what people thought it was. People in the West saw all of this, the caste system, horrible. He uses the word terrorized. People terrorized by the Brahmins like that. So that very sad chapter in the history, and it still goes on. But even a pukka, you know what the word pukka means? First, what? Matured. Okay, pukka. That's what it means? So you have a pukka mango, it means it's ripe? Oh, pukka mango. Okay. So pukka brahmana, there's someone even better. That's a Vaishnava. So he's saying here, the Brahman may understand Brahman, that there's a spiritual aspect of life and I should cultivate spirituality, but they may not necessarily know Krishna. What is that? Manushyanam sahasreshu. Yeah, so Krishna saying in the Gita that out of so many thousands and thousands of people, one person may be interested, even just interested. Hey, what's this spiritual thing? And of those who are interested in pursuing spiritual life, hardly one knows Krishna. Like that. And real Brahman. Well, that's what's coming out here. Is they're saying, Narada Muni is saying that of the Pāṇḍavas, not only do they understand Parabrahman, but Parabrahman was their friend. Staying in their house, the dearmost friend. So how exalted were they? Not that just, I know Brahman, I know Parabrahman, I know who Krishna is, but Krishna is your good friend. And there'll be some glorification over the next few verses. And I was going to read this morning some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes referred as the Brihamadanga by Sankirtan devotees, glorifying the Pāṇḍavas. Now, one theme we could take from today's class is the first line here from the purport about exalting a Vaishnava. That is the very important quality of devotees. They're always glorifying other devotees. They find great happiness in glorifying other devotees. They're always glorifying the devotees. The great souls in our lineage in the past, but even those presently with us, in those in our day-to-day life. Because there's a saying about familiarity. What is that saying? Yeah, be careful. What does that mean? Familiarity breeds contempt. What does that mean? Yes. Heaven forbid you if you start hating a Vaishnava. But go ahead. What is familiarity breeds contempt? No, you said it. You say it again. What does that mean? Familiarity breeds contempt.
You get used to the person's company that you no longer see them as someone special or someone unique, someone we should respect.
You may even start finding faults in them. Oh, you have that problem? Okay. So we all do. One has to be. What was I just read that? It's in Vaisheshika's book, The Four Questions. He even has a little graphic there about relationships. The people closest to are our mirror. In other words, a person close to you, they'll more than happy to tell you where you're at, right? That person you live with, whether it's a spouse or another prabhu or whatever, people who are close to you, they can tell you what you're like. They're like a mirror. So you gonna say something, Prabhu?
That phrase. Prabhupada picked up a lot of these sayings from his, English education, and so historically, when Prabhupada was living in L.A. for 8 months, I think in 1970, the longest time he spent at any one spot. And then there was, he noticed a symptom of Bhaktisiddhanta's picture upside down and salt in the Charanamrita, And then there was a whole thing where they were intercepting his letters, and so he famously he called up a few of his trusted lieutenants at that time. I think Tamal was there, maybe Bhagavan. Got to get me out of here, And when he explained it, I don't know if it was later or at the same time, he used that phrase because he'd been there so long that the devotees had contempt is too strong a word, but they become lax in their attention and making sure everything is just right, So he wanted to leave. And later on, he took it as Rukmini Dwarkadish getting him out of there and back to India so that he could preach in India. And then India took off after that, So
that's a very good point about being lax. And Hari Sarya Prabhu explains that he asked Prabhupada if he could leave his service as a servant because of that reason. He'd been with him so long, he was starting to become too familiar with Srila Prabhupada, and that wasn't good. Your spiritual masters is like fire. You got to keep just the right distance. Don't get too close, don't get too far away. So you got to be just the right distance. So if one becomes too familiar with someone, they may lose respect, find fault. So one has to be very, very careful. But one should always be glorifying. And that's the whole thing, serving and glorifying others. That's how you protect yourself from such. And if you find fault in someone, you should serve them. You should also look for their good qualities. How easy is it on a scale of 1 to 10 to find a fault in someone? Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavani bho vaishnavebhyo namo namah. For most of us, it's like 11, right? It's so easy to, like, I found fault with a devotee this morning. I feel like a real creep. I won't say who it was in their service, but, you should always find, it's so easy. And that's unfortunate. It should be so easy to find good qualities in someone. It's like Krishna says, he always sees the good. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here. Krishna he overlooks the bad. He just sees the good. He just always sees the good. The example given, the famous verse about Putana. Here's someone who comes to kill you, disguised as your mother, wants to kill you, and he just takes the good and liberates her in a position like Mother Yasoda in the spiritual world. And Uddhava was saying, that's who I'm worshiping as a Supreme Personality of God. You won't find someone more merciful. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, someone coming to kill you. I think I probably said this before. Yeah, you were going to go and kill him, but you find some good quality in him. He's coming to kill you, but you find some good quality in him. Hare Kṛṣṇa. And that's usually not our nature. So our nature, because we're envious, because we're puffed up, because we're all these horrible qualities, our nature is to find fault in others. But for someone who's Atmarama, who's Krishna conscious, they just always they like bees. What do they like? They like the honey, right? And flies, they like the other stuff. So we have to be bee-like. Just always looking for the honey. Just always looking. Hey, let me find some good qualities in this devotee. Bzzz, like that. That's how we should be. There should be a lot more buzzing around here. Bzzz, let me find some good quality. And they're there. It's not you got to make something up. Oh, Prabhu, you are the abode of all auspiciousness. You're seeing Krishna. You're floating above the earth. You're, just seeing you. I feel all my sins. You don't have to make stuff up. That's an offense also, right? Prithu Maharaj explains that in the fourth count of the Bhagavatam. If you over-glorify someone, things aren't there, that's offensive also. But there's so many good qualities in all the devotees. It's so easy to find them if you just look, right? So, and that other stuff, just leave that to someone else. That famous story, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that one grihastha, or maybe someone living in the ashram, is always criticizing the devotees. Just always criticizing. So he had a little meeting with him, and he said, as a spiritual master, it's my obligation, it's my duty to find faults with others, and it's a thankless task. Why do you want to do that? He said, why do you want to do? You don't have to. You're not the guru. You're not their authority. But somehow or other you just go, so you don't have to do it. So just stop. I have to do it as a spiritual master. It's a thankless task, but why do you want to find fault in others? Just glorify them. So let me just, because of the time, let me read a little bit. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is, this particular volume is just glorifying one set of devotees after the next. And Narada Muni's going, who's the best devotee, who's the best devotee, who's the best devotee, right? And I don't think I can get through all of this. In fact, maybe someone who's giving class over the next few days can also jump in, because it is about the Pāṇḍavas. Okay. Let's see where I put this. I think it's the flowers. There we go. Oh my, there's a lot in here. Okay. Krishna bestowed upon Yudhiṣṭhira the highest prestige, greater than that of anyone else in the upper and lower worlds. And by favors like allowing Bhima to kill Jarasandha, Krishna granted Bhima unequaled fame. Saintly Arjuna became renowned throughout the world for his intimate relationship with Krishna. I can never sing all the glories of Arjuna, even if I recite hundreds of Puranas. As for Nakula and Sahadeva, everyone has seen many times how fixed they were in love for Krishna, as shown, for example, by how these twins behaved in the deliberations of whom to worship first in the Rajasuya. Lord Hari personally sanctified Sri Draupadi's hair during the Rajasuya sacrifice and other special festivals. He would call Draupadi dear friend. He relieved her of fear of Atri's son Durvasa and fear of others, including Dushasana. He removed all her sorrow. Krishna relished Sri Vidura's porridge and organized the celebration of Sri Bhishma's passing away. Please therefore judge your own standing from how in many controversies both Vidura and Bhishma took your side. Let me just see here. Here it is. So he was just glorified. The Pāṇḍavas were just glorified. Parikshit said, for a moment, Dharmaraj, Yudhiṣṭhira, remained quiet. And then he sighed as if embarrassed. At last he spoke, followed in turn by his brothers, wife, and mother. So they just glorified as being the best devotees. Now Yudhiṣṭhira said, O crest jewel of brilliant speakers, Lord Hari has no mercy for us. We cannot remember any mercy he has shown us, even after we consider this for a long time. So now they were just glorified as being the highest recipients of Krishna's mercy and kindness. And Yudhiṣṭhira is saying, I don't remember a time Krishna was ever merciful to us. So what's going on here? Let's read a little bit more. If ordinary materialists see the... this is the wonderful part where he's saying here. If ordinary materialists see the many calamities that have come upon us, their faith and their inclination to serve Krishna are likely to wither. So this is the conclusion of the meeting. He was saying that actually we're not great devotees. In fact, if people hear about us, they're going to lose their Krishna consciousness. They'll lose their faith in Krishna. Because look what happened to us. The many calamities that came upon us. In other words, if I'm a devotee of Krishna, then you get slammed like anything. Oh, become a Hare Krishna, become a devotee, all your problems will go away, right? Just like birds. Just like, but Arjuna says, no, it's just the opposite happens. You become a devotee, you're going to suffer like anything. And how much suffering we went through, people be so discouraged about being a devotee. I don't want to land up like the Pāṇḍavas. Look what happened to them, right? Unbelievable suffering they went through. So it says here that their inclination to serve Krishna will likely wither if they hear about us. This would surely cause us great distress, for we have dedicated a life and breath only to Him. We would rather suffer like embodied creatures without food or like fish deprived of water. And so then he's talking about the Rajasuya sacrifice. He's saying it's our fault. Yudhiṣṭhira is saying it's our fault that many saintly persons met their demise, including venerable teachers like Drona and Bhishma and sons like Abhimanyu. He's saying we could only enjoy the pleasure of seeing Krishna's lotus face only once in a while, when after long times absent, he visits us on some business. So he's saying, if we're such great devotees, why is Krishna just come and visit us every once in a while? You know, we don't see him that often. And then what happens is then the different Pāṇḍavas start speaking. And it's already 8:30. Anyways, I just started this section, so tomorrow, the next day, there's a few verses. Who wants to jump in and read the glorification of the Pāṇḍavas? And they're each speaking. The Yudhiṣṭhira speaks, Bhima speaks, Arjuna speaks, Nakula and Sahadeva speak. Kunti finishes the section talking about her relationship. So the Pāṇḍavas. Well, let's see here. It's chapter 5. maybe around 55, somewhere in there. You can pick it up. I'd say just go to chapter 5, text 50, then you go backwards or forwards. Last night I was looking through here, and it was actually Hanuman was getting ready to bring Narada Muni to go see the Pāṇḍavas, and I forget where that is, because there's something in chapter 4 and chapter 5. But I would recommend, if someone wants to reference some more glorification of the Pāṇḍavas. And we said in the very beginning of class, advanced devotees think of themselves as neophyte, and neophyte devotees think of themselves as very advanced. And here's Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira saying, we are so un-Krishna conscious that, people lose their faith in Krishna just hearing about us. Was it Krishnadas Kaviraj? What did he say about his name? Well, he compared himself to what? Like a worm. So someone becomes contaminated by saying my name. So was he really thinking like that? Yes, the first volume. Volume 1. So, anyways, these are just the different things to consider as far as take home, take ashram, whatever you call it, take home, take ashram, about always glorifying the devotees. And the symptom of a very advanced devotee is they feel themselves very fallen, and the symptom of a very fallen devotee is he thinks he's very, very advanced. So, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments so far on the glorification of the Pāṇḍavas? Microphone?
There is a nice story of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There was a person who used to criticize Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then after he passed away, that person, they informed the disciples, told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he passed away. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur regretted, who's going to correct me now? Who's going to find the faults? So Vaishnava. So I guess there's another story of the Pāṇḍavas. Duryodhana and Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is asked by their spiritual master to find somebody who's higher than you and somebody is lower than you. Duryodhana went around, he didn't find anybody higher than him. He didn't see anybody. And Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj didn't find anybody who's lower than him.
They exemplify the devotees of the Lord. Yes.
Just one note about, I remember I had this experience early 2000s when I used to go to Vrindavan every year for Kartik. And I was leaving in a few weeks, and I happened to be in LA, and Radhanath Swami was there. And this devotee, who you probably have heard, maybe you've met, Abhiram Thakur in Chowpatty. He was an older man who had joined in Dhaka in Pakistan, and he had taken initiation from Kirtananda. So he got initiated by Radhanath Swami. And he was highly beloved in the ashram. He was an older man. He would take care of the brahmacharis, make sure they had everything they needed to eat, and when they came back, make sure that everything. And he was always singing songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he had passed, in the last month. And wherever Maharaj went, he was glorifying this devotee, and he went on for at least an hour, and it was so impressive. And the interesting thing was, I was writing a poem. This was my poetic period when I was writing poems. And it was a poem, and I said, this, one verse, and I said, this verse seems to perfectly describe this devotee. And so I finished the poem, and then I happened to be in Vrindavan, and Maharaj had gone there. He happened to be there with the ashes. They were going to go do the ceremony in the Yamuna. And I met him. I couldn't attend the ceremony because I had a BBT meeting. That's why I would go every year. But I asked him, I said, this verse that I was writing at that time, and I finished, describes to me, this devotee nicely. So I'll share the verse with you. And I think he did, I understood that he did chant that verse and share it in the whole ceremony. It's in the Padyavali. Many of you have heard me recite this before. Aho bir nakale beduyate. Sudha sudhara modadam pade pade. Dine dine chandana chandra shitalam. Yasho yashodatana yasagiyate. Because at every step they drink a flood of wondrous nectar sweet, whose cooling power sandal paste enhanced with camphor can't defeat. They feel as if the raging blaze of Kali's days had ne'er begun. How blessed are they who fill their days with praise of Shri Yashoda's son.
Jai.
And he loved, my experience with him, that he loves to glorify his devotees. He can go on and on. It's Ranat Swami.
Okay, so we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.